Today we're chatting with a reader who manifested a brand new home in only just a couple of months and a new job in just 9 days. We'll do a deep dive into the manifesting methods she chose, along with how she specifically used them. This is the law of attraction like you've never heard it before. Bertie, are you ready to begin?
As ready as I'll ever be.
Awesome. In that case, hey everyone, Andrew here, otherwise known as that guy who wrote the last Law of Attraction book you'll ever need to read. And I'm coming at you today with a long overdue video and a very special guest. And to set a little context for the conversation today, I'm very fortunate in that I get a lot of emails from readers and I get a lot of good news from readers. I get a lot of feedback of like, well, here's what happened. I read your book. I did this. This is what I got. And I don't often say, hey, that's great. Why don't we get on camera and talk about it? But I've been very good all these years, kind of like learning to trust my gut. And for some reason, today's guest wrote to me, replied to an email with feedback on what she had done. And my gut nudged me and say, you know what? Ask her if she'd be willing to share her story and share her process, because for some reason I feel like it's really going to connect with viewers. So here we are trying this out. So without any further ado, Rachel Chapman, thank you so much for being here and welcome to my YouTube channel.
Thank you so much for having me.
Yeah, it's really, and it's actually very exciting for me because again, I haven't done an interview in a while. I haven't published to YouTube in a while. So this is just a really cool, excited opportunity for me. So I'm really happy to dive in. To kind of get us off on the right foot here, I'm just going to read an excerpt of the email that you sent me, so that people watching kind of know, well, what made Andrew reach out or what made Andrew say, let me ask this person. So reading verbatim,
Sure.
you'd said that your book has changed my life mainly using the scripting method. I purchased your book a couple years ago, and since I have manifested a brand new house, new job, and pretty much anything else that I wanted. The house took me a couple of months, and my job took me 9 days to manifest. Now, that's pretty cool for me. Like some people, they manifest like in a heartbeat, and other people, it takes a while. Like people are all over the place. But when something like that happens, I'm always like, okay, that's really interesting because this person, obviously, they're kind of in the zone, so to speak, where they're not bringing up resistance, they're not getting in their own way. So like, okay, let me dive in. So before we get to your process, you mentioned you got my book a couple years ago. Just for clarity, was my book your introduction to the law of attraction, or had you heard about that before?
So I was actually introduced with another book from a friend of mine, and I coincidentally, after I read that book, came across yours. And yes, yours was the last book that I've ever needed, but I did purchase one more book, and that was yours, The Just Feel Good.
Nice. Cool. So you technically have three books about the law of attraction.
Correct.
There are a lot of people watching you right now extremely jealous. Because I mean, I even look back on my journey years and years and years ago, and I had read so many books and I'd gone through so much for years before finally like sorting it out in my mind, like what's the sweet spot of how I dive into this. So that's really cool. Just curious, what was the first book that you got, if you remember it?
Yes, so the first book was called The Secret by Rhonda Byrne.
Got it. Perfect. Perfectly well-known book. Obviously, that's one of the big ones that really get people on board. And wow, very cool. I didn't realize obviously before we got on this call that you got that, and then you got mine, and like, just feel good being more of like a supplement. That's pretty much it. Um,
Yes.
Very cool. So you get the book, you dive in, things happen. You mentioned scripting. Was scripting something where you were experimenting with all the methods and that kind of popped out at you? Or was it something like you knew right away, like, not going to worry about the other methods. I'm just going to dive in because this really resonates with me.
No, so I did try a few different ones. So I tried a lot of the visualization ones, but I just found the scripting method just worked for me. I could be on the right vibration. When I was writing, I was just letting everything go, just feeling it. Whereas more with the visualization, my mind was it was not relaxing. It was just thinking, it was going towards another direction. So I thought to myself, you know what? I'm going to sit down, I'm going to try the scripting. I don't mind doing a little bit of journaling here and there. And once I did the scripting, I was able to feel the emotions. I was able to really 100% concentrate. And then once I was finished, just let it go. Let it go. I did the same thing, not necessarily every single day, mainly every day. And it just worked for me. It just clicked, it just resonated, and it was just easy. Very, very easy.
Rachel, I'm really happy to hear you articulate it in this way because I think you're communicating something really important that because people put a lot of pressure on themselves and
Correct.
a lot of people they'll try a method and if it doesn't feel good for them or it doesn't click, they're going to judge themselves and say, okay, I guess this doesn't work or I guess I'm not right for this or whatever it might be. And hearing what you said, no, you tried a couple of things. They
Yep.
weren't really clicking, which is fine because that's actually why I try to put some variety in there because different people respond to different things. And you just kept pushing and you found your way into the scripting before it clicked for you. So I think it's a wonderful thing for me to highlight for people watching because anyone listening, you never know what method or methods are really going to connect with you. And it's even a thing where I'm not sure if this is your experience. Certain methods might feel good, but then there's other ones that just are feeling good on a higher level where it's like this was
Correct.
nice, but this is really nice. This is a sweet spot. Was that how it was for you? It was more like a huge introduction.
Absolutely.
Got it.
Absolutely. After the first couple of days of scripting, it just came naturally. I wanted to do it every day. I wanted to do it numerous times a day. I just felt very comfortable and just started seeing the results sort of immediately.
Awesome. Awesome. Now you said you don't mind doing journaling. Am I to take it that means that when you were doing this, you were handwriting it? And
Correct.
did you do typing or speaking, or you stuck with the handwriting portion?
Look, I tried all three. So I tried the speaking, which I do still do every day as well, along with the written one. But the one that worked for me the most was handwriting. I feel that was kind of more personalized. It had more meaning.
Hmm.
And to me, it was like I knew it was going to work. I just knew if I'd handwrite it. Look, I tried typing it. To me, typing just wasn't that personal experience. Whereas the handwritten one, I just felt more comfortable with.
Understood. Now, some people, when they do scripting, when they do handwritten scripting, they'll set a timer or they'll choose a certain, like, I'll do one page, I'll do page, two pages, or they go on feel. Did you have a specific strategy of decision that you were making before you started, or did it vary for you?
Look, I did aim, obviously, listening to your instructions, and in the beginning, I aimed to do it 10 to 15 times. But as the days went on, I just continued writing to fill up 2 to 3 full pages.
Mm, gotcha. Okay. So am I understanding right that you didn't do it all in one spot per day? You just kind of like you picked moments and did it throughout the day, or did I misunderstand you?
So with the written scripting, I would do that once a day,
Mhm.
and I would try to do that first thing of the morning. And obviously, with the visualization and verbal, I would do last thing of an evening.
Okay, so the scripting you dove into, but you added other parts to your routine, and you almost
Correct.
sounds like you bookended your day with the methods for yourself.
Correct. Yes.
Awesome, awesome. Um, so just for curiosity, when you were doing this, were there any lulls? Were there days where you didn't feel like doing it, or for you, were you always inspired and excited to dive in and try it out?
No. So in the beginning, when I first purchased your book, I'll be honest, I didn't try anything. I just wasn't confident. I would listen to you every single day or read it. So I have you on Audible and I have your book. I carry your book with me all the time, daily, and always go back and refer to it just for some motivation. So in the beginning, I think I was more scared to try it. And that's where I think my ego came across because I thought, oh, it's not going to work. It's not going to work. It's not going to work for me. It's worked for you, but obviously this is not going to work for me. It's not my luck. After a year of wasting my time, I thought, you know what? Like you said, what have I got to lose? There's
Mm,
nothing to lose. I might as well just put it into action, give it a go. And I saw results pretty much immediately.
wow. Okay, and just to reflect on something you said here, I don't want to speak for you and say this was you, but speaking for myself and what I found with a lot of people when they're struggling to kind of like finally get going with this, I kind of like looked back for me and it almost felt like I delayed in doing stuff for a while also because I was faced, me personally, were like, this thing looks so promising and right now I have hope. Like I hope it'll work. Like it could work. And I'm almost scared, like, what if I do this and then it doesn't work and then I lose hope? Like by not beginning, there's almost like this thing, again, I don't know if it was for you, but it certainly was for me, where it's like if you haven't begun yet, it hasn't failed yet. Therefore, it's always an option of hope. It's always there waiting for you. But then when you actually do it, you kind of put your feet to the fire and you commit. And it's like, now if it doesn't quote unquote work, it's like, oh, I don't even have this as an option as like a hopeful thing to look for anymore.
Correct, 100%. That's exactly how I felt.
Yeah.
And then I just had to do it. I thought to myself, I've wasted 12 months of my life thinking about this, listening to you, reading you daily. Why am I not putting this into action? I have nothing else to lose. Let's just give it a go. If it doesn't work, it doesn't work. I will try something else. But I think it's more of my mindset. I think I had to keep listening and reading and going back just for assurance because, like myself, I thought this is way too easy. But then why am I not doing it? Why am I not trying? What am I scared of? But that was what I was scared of, it not working. But then I thought, what do I have to lose? I don't have I don't have what I want at the moment. And the only way to get it is to try this.
Love it. Love it. So, if you don't mind, I'm curious, maybe we can give people a demo, like, because people, again, like, we always overcomplicate things. And I get emails from people all the time, like, hey, Andrew, I'm trying this with the method. Am I doing it right? And I always tell them, like, listen, if what you're doing with whatever method is making you feel good while thinking about what you have or what you want or both, you're doing it right. But still, again, all of us, myself included, we tend to overcomplicate things. We tend to look for the perfect thing. So, not that
Mm-hmm.
yours is the perfect thing, but I figured for anyone watching this right now and they're looking for more guidance, could you give an example of how you might script, what you might specifically say, what details you might give? What would you put if you were writing down on paper right now? Of either something you got already or something you want, just so people can kind of use that as a baseline of what they might want to experiment with.
Sure, of course. So, for example, I'll use my job. So I wasn't happy in my current position. I wanted one closer to home, more money. All I wrote was on my in my notepad day by day for 9 days was I'm so happy and grateful for my new high paying job. It is close to home. I work with excellent people. It is everything that I could have ever wanted. Kept it short, sweet, and just kept scripting over and over again for as long as I wanted. What I did this time that I think made it different was let go of the how. I used to always think to myself, okay, I want a new job, but how is this going to happen for me? That's not my job to know how. It is my job to put it out there. 9 days later, I couldn't believe it. The surprise of my life, I got offered the dream job.
Hmm. Was this something where you were kind of putting your resume out there and they replied, or did they come out of the blue? Like, how did it really unfold for you?
So this was a very unique situation. My bosses that I work for at the moment, I knew them through work about 20 years ago. I had actually run into one of them in the shopping centre. I think it was about 2 weeks prior. I didn't even think that I wanted to work for these people. And then I got a call from them saying that, a staff member had left. Am I interested? Would I like to come in for an interview? Didn't put my resume out there, went and met with them and got offered the job on the spot.
Wow. Okay, so literally, because there's taking inspired action and there's hanging
Yeah,
back, letting the universe do things for you. There's both sides of the equation. It sounds like this literally like unfolded with very little, if anything, on your part other than doing the methods, which
correct.
sometimes that happens for people that way, and sometimes they put a little bit more of their physical effort into it.
Yes.
Wow. And am I understanding right that like you wrote that short brief statement and you kept writing the same statement over and over and over again? Is that was your process?
Correct. Yes.
Very interesting. Was that the same process that you took when I'm looking at the other details here? The house, right? Um,
Correct.
what
Yes.
what was that like? Was there a certain statement that you did for that you kept saying over and over again?
Yes, so this one was very, very short, and all I said and well, all I wrote was, "Thank you for my brand new home." That was
Oh,
it.
okay, cool.
And the way that come about was, I think I did that for about 2.5, 3 months. My husband then just sent me a text message while I was at work and pointed to a block of land that he had come across and said, "This is ours. We get to build a brand new home."
Mm,
No discussion, no nothing. Just, I've bought this block of land. I had not even, look, I had discussed it with my husband. We were looking to purchase a property, but I just thought, being brand new, building one, that was out of our reach at the time. But obviously, doing my scripting, it worked out for us.
it's so interesting and so cool to hear you describe things this way because the way you say it and the way you say what you did, if you would have emailed me and say, "Hey Andrew, am I doing it right?" I'd be like, "Well, absolutely," because obviously it sounds like you're feeling positive emotion as you're doing this. Whereas also
Yeah,
simultaneously, my personality, I wouldn't have done it that way. And I haven't done it that way. For me, I mean, I've experimented with that in the past. My own style is like I would write a long thing with all the different details because that's how it engages for me. So again, I'm so glad that we're having this conversation that people could be watching. Like, listen, Rachel technically barely did anything in terms of what was required for her to feel the positive emotion and get in that vibrational state. She said she picked this a statement that really resonated with her, that felt good, and then she just did it. She just wrote it over and over and over again. And I'm putting words in your mouth, so you'll stop me if I'm wrong on this, but you kept doing it over and over without any pressure, without keeping score, without worrying about when it's coming or why it's coming or how it's coming, just doing it, just deciding to finally do it, engage in the process, not overcomplicate, and watch things unfold. And I would imagine, to put a few more words in your mouth, since you had one manifestation already, it had given you this level of evidence and proof that, yes, I can very easily continue this for all these other things that I might want in my life moving forward.
correct. Yeah.
I love it. I love it. So as I break this down, you can see I'm doing my best to kind of like make it like a teaching moment. Is there anything as you hear me say this that you think I'm missing or I'm not describing, that if someone were asking you your approach or your perspective, you think might be valuable to share with them?
Yeah, of course. I think just when you're doing it, your words always came to my mind. Just don't think of how. That's it. Just put it out there. The how is not my problem. That's up to the universe. And the main thing is, I think when you're writing, what you want is to feel as if it's already happened already, to be on that vibration. Um, and then just free, just let it go. That's all I did. I didn't worry about it. I didn't obsess over it all day. I've come back to it, of course, and think about it during the day, but I would always think about it as it had already happened.
Hmm. Okay. So again, doing this in the beginning of the day, it's kind of like setting the tone where as you move through your day, if it were to pop back in your mind, you're kind of like in that vibe of calm, ease, anticipation, like, yep, this is awesome. I've got this. I'm not worrying about it. Let me keep living my life in the meantime and not concerning myself with how it's going to happen.
Correct. Because I just let the worry kind of go, let it go that, oh, it's not going to happen for me. Just didn't think about sort of that too much, just let that go. But I always had in my head, it's going to happen. It's going to happen. There's no doubt about it. There are bad days that I have, and I always look at it and go, well, look, it's 50-50. It can be a yes, it can be a no. If it's a no, then obviously something better is coming, something better than I've asked for. Um, but 9 out of 10 times, everything that I script and write down, I get.
I love it. You're not gritting your teeth, you're not trying to force it, and you're giving yourself the space of not even requiring it in that way with the understanding that there might be something way better in a way better fashion, which again removes the resistance, it keeps you on point, and again, I'm just putting words in your mouth here, so you'll correct me if I'm wrong. It frees you up to enjoy your life in the meantime so that you don't have to wait for this thing to come in order to actually be happy now.
Correct. I just thought about and gave thanks and gratitude for everything that I already had. Because looking back at it, everything that I have is a manifestation of what I've wanted. I'm living the life that I want now. So I need to be grateful, because then I'm going to attract those more of those things into my life. And over the last year or so, it's shown me, it's come into fruition. Everything that I've desired has come because I've just let the feeling go, and I haven't put time limits on myself. Whereas in the beginning, I was kind of saying, okay, I want this to happen within the next 24 hours, within the next 3 months. But I learned just taking the time off it and not putting a time limit on it, and worked more for me as well.
Hmm. One more question just comes to mind again, just trying to get your perspective to share with people. Well, in terms of the order, it sounds like the job was the big thing that happened first, and then the house happened later. Am I getting that right?
So the house actually happened first, then the job.
Okay, cool. So when the house happened, and I don't know if you remember if you could remember this feeling, but were you surprised? Were you relieved? Was there an emotion or a level of that you could articulate of like how it felt when it actually happened for you?
It was an utter surprise. I remember seeing that message from my husband, and then the next thing that came, I thought, it worked. It worked. I can't believe that this worked. I was just so happy. I was relieved that we could stop looking. I was just so surprised. I think it took me about a week to think, oh my goodness, this happened. I can't believe I made this happen. And if I can make this happen, then I can make anything happen that I want.
I love it. What's really cool, and it almost sounds like contradictory, but it actually fits this way. If, is when you're doing the process, you're like, oh, I know it's coming, I know it's happening. And yet, when it does happen, there's this level of like, is this real life? This is kind of surreal. And
Correct.
people sometimes feel like, well, it's either one or the other. It's like, no, we are a mixed bag of emotions and experiences, and you never know how it's going to be. But the cool thing is, you can go through one or both and still manifest what you want and still invite a lot of the happiness and success that you have in your life and that you're going to continue to have into your life.
Correct.
Awesome. All right. Well, so I guess to kind of close things out, if someone asked you like, Rachel, like give me the top piece of advice, what's the one thing I should keep in mind as I engage in this process for what I want in my life? What would you tell them?
Just feel good. Just feel good. Let it go. Don't put a time limit on it. Don't be too hard on yourself. Do what makes you comfortable and what makes you happy, but just let it go. Just think about it. Let it go. How it's going to happen is not up to you. Just put it out there and just be on that same vibration. Just feel as if it's already happened to you.
Don't judge yourself. Don't rush yourself. Don't judge the universe.
Correct.
Don't rush the universe. Don't judge other people. Don't rush other people. Just engage, sit back, take action when inspired, and let it happen.
Correct. 100% correct.
Awesome. Rachel, I think I pulled enough out of you that I'm hoping that, again, people will take this as a wonderful perspective and a wonderful reminder that there's so many ways of doing this, but the simplicity, that route really takes hold. And I think you really exemplify that in your example and what you're doing and how you've described this. So thank you for sharing your perspective and your process as you're on your own personal manifesting journey. I know I appreciate it, and I'm sure everyone watching this really does as well.
Thank you so much. It's been a pleasure.